things racing and Jesus with your hosts, Daniel Hillian and Mitch Reynolds.
That's right, man. It is episode 47, and this is going to be another good one. I am super excited about this particular episode because we got a couple of XC brothers on here that are kind of dipping their toe in the EDT world. We've got the Pullen brothers, Bryce and Brody Pullen, coming on. Some of you may know them, some of you may not, but I'm excited. They're good friends of mine, and I'm excited to have them on today. But as always, across the table, the Rocket 137. How you doing, Mitch?
I am doing well. You know, as we get into the brothers episode, I was kind of thinking of all these famous brothers through racing, man.
Yeah, man.
It's really cool. Like right now, we've got the Moore brothers. We've got Cole and Kiefer Moore in the EDT Pro world.
That's right.
The Miller brothers, for those of you who remember them, they're over in the side-by-side world now, but they were huge in the MX world back in the day. Both got their pro license. There's really been some dynamic duos of brothers, you know, and we've got Brody, who's 15, about to be 16 here, and Bryce, that's 14, up-and-coming guys that are in the cross-country world and jump over in the EDT world a little bit last year. So kind of get to visit about them on that transition from one thing to another is really cool. I mean, ATV racing is awesome. I haven't really XC raced, but it's racing and it's on ATV. So love it. So really fun to visit with these guys and just kind of dig into the family dynamic. You know, we've heard over and over again that the huge family that you establish within this ATV racing world and really what pulls you into it. But here we are, another example of families invested in racing and brothers doing the thing. So super cool. Yeah. And before we go past it, number 47, since you're the numbers guy, Mr. Jace White.
Yeah.
It's the Jace White episode.
I was thinking about that today. Who was another number 47 that was
Zach Willett?
That's right. Zach Willett.
Cat Nuts himself. I mean, what's his nickname?
I know. So, that's the funniest thing.
I think we bought one of his machines before, and Zach was cool, but Cat Nuts, I'm not sure, but it was on the seat cover. I think I rocked it for a little bit.
Just roll with it, man. Yeah. I remember Zach, there was one season or for one race, I don't know if he lost a bet or what, but I thought it was the coolest look ever. He had complete black helmet, black goggles, black jersey, black pants, black boot. I mean,
blacked out.
But his quad was a lot more white. There was some black and stuff in it. But then he had like how I guess kind of the, I don't know, gangster look. I don't really know. Forgive me if I'm saying something politically
it's not gothic.
No, I'm getting there. But you would have like the red bandana hanging out of your pants or out of your pocket, Oh,
yeah.
And he had a red shop towel.
Okay. I didn't remember that part.
It was awesome,
but the all black was sick. I mean, it was before it was a thing. Oh, really.
Yeah.
But it's because he was a trendsetter, really.
He was.
I mean, he did have a freaking awesome setup all the time.
Oh,
it looked sick. So he was just setting the trend that would be followed years later.
That's for sure, man. And speaking of setting trends, man, we want to give a big shout out to SOFAbrand MX.com, man. You've got to ride in your gear. You got to ride a couple weeks ago as the last pod. We dropped the pod on Tuesday, but the Saturday before, visited with Garrett Keister. And again, thank you for Garrett and him coming out. We got to visit with him and Steve a little bit Saturday. And fun. Got to ride a little bit with him. And that was kind of cool still.
Cool to hear about, him and Steve's dynamic and then how he's bringing crew into it and how him and Carly are just kind of weaving crew right into the racing world. Yeah. So super cool that they're doing that right alongside him. That is Garrett's a good time. But to the SOFAbrand, man, I loved it. I love the gear. I would say like the pants, I've kind of been building them up, the hype on the whole shot of them. But really, once you lock into them, because with the lining built in and then you zip them down, I mean, you're in there good. Yeah. And, the other thing that I thought was pretty cool is like afterwards, it's usually just like you're trying to like rip the pants off, and then just unlayer. Yeah. And it was actually pretty seamless. Yeah. You've got your you're just wearing regular socks. Yeah. So you unzip it and take the knee pads off.
Put your tennis shoes on and go.
That was really cool. So I like that for sure.
As this comes out, this is Tuesday that, when we dropped it, the first two rounds of the Midwest Series got rained out, so those have been rescheduled for the end of the month.
The anxious wait.
I know.
I mean, it continues. We're like, come on, like the MX is going, the cross country is going, like we're ready for some EDT, baby. Yeah. And Mother Nature,
nope.
I have been swamped under at Paducah before.
Yeah, Dad was talking about that. Yeah.
You don't want to go to Paducah once that place starts flooding. It's the whole place does, not just an unraceable track. Yeah,
drag strip,
we straight up
everything.
People getting stranded. You wake up in the morning and your boots and everything are floating off because water is rising in the parking lot.
You're like, I don't remember having a size 13 Adidas shoe. That's not my shoe, and there's water everywhere. Yeah, get out your jet skis. But,
that's right.
Yeah, SOFAbrand MX. When you go to checkout, use our code RTRP. Remain in the Race podcast. RTRP. A couple episodes ago, I said the wrong one, so I apologize. But
we got it straightened out now.
I know. RTRP. It's really good. So planning on doing a little riding tomorrow myself at the same place, same time. Sweet. Be there, be square. And I hope that I get to put some laps on my gear. Last week when we went out there, I was really working with Cooper I get to visiting and talking, and I was like, oh, I forgot to ride.
Never.
Yeah.
No, would not ever happen.
Not happen.
Would also, never be distracted.
Yeah. Phoenix Handlebars. Use our code RITR15 at checkout. Like I said, I've got a set. I really, really like them. 110% nutrition. You can use our code REMAIN at checkout. And then as always, kind of our guys that have been with us for a while, 88 Live to Ride. By the way, there was a motocross race in Texas. Did a certain 88 Live to Ride crew stop by?
They sure did. They got to stay here and experience the clips with us. So they showed up.
That's cool.
Early Monday morning, they'd pulled over and parked somewhere. But anyway, on Sunday night. But came and spent Monday and then spent Tuesday with the parents. Yeah. And then, by the time I got in on Tuesday, they were headed back north because they'll have to get home, do a little work, and then head down to Georgia next weekend. So it's a pretty quick turnaround for them. You know,
that's a lot of miles from. You think Ohio to Texas, back to Ohio to Georgia. Man, they put some miles on the old Volvo, that's for sure. But 88 Live to Ride, RJR, B&B Motorsports, Frank. Hey, I'm hearing some vibes that Mr. Frank may show up at a race this year.
Come on, Frank. We were wanting him to show up.
Yeah, but absolutely.
We need him to show up.
We need him to show up. And one of our really good friends, Kevin Allen, Cleveland over there at ATM Motorsports, man. If you're needing anything, hit him up on Facebook, give him a call, text, reach out to those guys. And these guys make it possible. And so, man, this is going to be a fun episode. We've got the Pullen brothers, Bryce and Brody. We're going to talk to Brody. They are actually on their way to a GNCC right now. We're recording this on Friday, and so it may get a little sketchy to hear Brody. We did our best job editing to get it all in there, but he was traveling, and they're in the back hills of Tennessee, so it kind of comes and goes. But still a great interview. Brody is a super awesome young man. Yep. His mom, Tony's done a great job raising him, and his dad, Billy, is, according to Brody, writing the checks.
That's what he said. That's right.
But they're a great family, and it's exciting, as we kind of wrap up. We've kind of been talking about, we're wrapping up our A Racing Life series, and we just keep adding to it. But this
is more Racing Life. Racing Life.
But we interviewed, two motocross guys that have really formed a great friendship, and so it just kind of worked out. Well, hey, let's talk to a couple up and coming cross country guys that also race EDT.
Yep.
And so we're going to jump on here with Brody, and then we'll catch a break, and then we're going to catch Bryce after the race, which will be kind of cool too. So he was in the zone. Brody said he's getting locked in.
He's got to get locked in.
He's getting locked in.
Locked in.
But he will be
got to have the right mindset, man.
And, Brody is going to talk about that a little bit.
That's right.
So, but we're going to get him unlocked on the second part of this episode, so it's going to be a good one. But hey, anything else before we jump on with BP?
No, man. Looking forward to this interview coming up, and man, I'm getting more hyped for some EDT racing coming up really soon.
I know it's going to be good.
We've got to continue to wait just a couple more weeks,
a pinch longer. All right. Well, hey, y'all stay with us. We're going to catch a break, and we will be right back.
Hey, we'd like to welcome in Mr. Brody Pullen. This is a cross-country man, kind of converted over to the EDT world at the end of last year and going to really hit the EDT world hard this year. Brody, welcome into the show, man. Introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? My name is Brody, and like Mitch said, I'm still going to be racing XC a lot, but I am going to be doing most of the MWEDT series this year.
That's right, because you're an Indiana native. So
Yep.
kind of introduce the listeners to your family, because you and your brother both race. There's been famous brother racing all the way through, including one that's sitting right across the desk
That's
from
right.
me, the Hillian
That's right.
brothers, Super
That's
D.
right. I don't know that we were quite the level of these two guys, but yeah, we were famous in our own hometown. That's for sure.
But there's something special about brothers
Yeah,
racing, that's
absolutely.
for sure. I can't relate to that. I didn't have a brother that raced, but anyway, Brody, aka BP, you'll hear me call him some here. That's what his buddies call him. But tell us about kind of your family dynamic, and what racing means to you guys.
It's a lot, me and Bryce were constantly pushing each other and to go harder and, faster, but really it's just me and him, and we're, like I said, we're just always pushing.
Well, tell us about yourself kind of outside of the racing world. I know, racing kind of draws you together and pushes each one of you to be better, but kind of tell me what life looks like outside of racing a little bit.
I'm homeschooled. I'm 15, and I get my schoolwork done, and I go out in the shop, work on quads, and then if I don't have that to do, I go fish. In the deer season, I hunt deer, and it's usually about it.
So you're an outdoorsman by trade, and would you say the same for Bryce? Like, is he kind of side-by-side brother, or do y'all kind of have different interests?
Oh no, me and him he's on a different level. He'll fish all day, he'll hunt all day. Like it's intense. So
he's kind of that mindset of lock in on one thing for a little bit. Brody, you just get a splash of this, a splash of that. That's a little bit more like myself. Like I'm kind of a person that I might be doing one task in front of me, but I'm thinking of kind of the next 2 and 3. That just kind of what I call squirrel syndrome a little bit. But there's other diagnoses for that. But we don't have to go diagnosing people here. Each one of us are just a little bit different. But tell me a little bit about your family. Like your dad, Billy, is obviously invested in this thing. He's got 2 boys that he's running around the country, racing cross country, and then dipping over here into this EDT world. But just tell me how your family dynamic works there. Like, what's your dad in charge of? What are you in charge of? What's Bryce in charge of?
Dad just he gets all the parts. Me and him. Me and him will thrash. We just put this new bike together for Bryce just this last week, and me and him kind of do the same things. The only thing I don't do is pay for it, but
I was about to say, so you're writing the checks too, BP, or nah, we'll let Billy handle the check writing.
Yeah, Billy handles the checks.
Yeah.
So what I'm piecing together right now, so Dad's paying the bill, but you and him do all the work together while Bryce is out fishing. That's what he
Bryce
does.
is out fishing and posting Instagram bangers. That's what he's doing.
Bryce helps us stuff. He doesn't want to do it. He just doesn't know.
He's just a little bit younger. He's just got to learn the ropes. That's why he's got to have his older brother to teach him the ropes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So BP, what really got y'all started in the sport of ATV racing?
So we were sitting down at the dinner table one day, and me and Bryce, we got quads for our 3rd birthdays, both of us. And he's a year younger than me. We were sitting at the dinner table one day. He just asked us if we wanted. I don't remember if it was a 90 or 70, but raced it. In my first race, I got going up this hill, and there was a giant water puddle, and smoked it, and just waterlogged my TRR. And Mom was freaking out because I didn't come through.
Yeah, and that's the thing for the majority of our EDT listeners that haven't done a cross country race. At an EDT track, you can sit in one spot and see the whole thing. Well, in cross country, you see a guy come by, and then 10 minutes later, you may see him on a different part of the track, and 20 minutes later to 30 minutes later is the end of the lap. And so that's what, you're out there circulating, and then it's like, Tony, Mom, she's expecting you to come through at like the 12-minute mark, and it's like, okay, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, and you're just hanging out with a drowned out quad. Is that what happened?
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so where was this first race at? Was it Indiana? That's home for y'all. Was it in one of those series?
Yeah, it was at a IXCR. It was called, it was called Battle at the Badlands. It's a off-road park, really sandy, gravelly. Actually just raced there a couple of weeks ago and won the A class and got third overall in the PM.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah,
Nice.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, I try to check in with old Billy and see how y'all did, and then little turd head brother, he did pretty good too that weekend. He won the morning. He was the morning overall.
Yeah.
Is that right, dude? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
won the morning overall.
That's awesome.
All right. So BP, one question that we ask most people is, what is something unique about the sport of ATV racing to you? So, some people say just the competition, the camaraderie. These are different answers we've gotten. But what is it in your mind? What is something that you see that's unique from this sport as opposed to, participating in baseball and football or fishing? Give us something unique that qualifies this sport as different but awesome at the same time.
I'd say the competition and competitive side of it. I mean, I used to not be like a super competitive person, but over the years I've gained that competitiveness, and now it kind of hurts to lose. But
so
also I'd say the family side of it, or their friends' family side of it.
Those are both things that
awesome.
Those are both things that we've heard over time, kind of that drive, that inner drive to kind of feel what it's like to win, to compete week in and week out, and being able to stand on top of that box. Or if you don't, that drive to get back there and to be better. And then the other thing you mentioned there, family, that's a theme we've seen over and over again as well, where it doesn't matter where you go race, you've got family there. You guys are from Indiana, which is a huge in the cross-country world, but obviously that goes to different states as well. But you show up, and all your friends are there. All your friends' families are there, and you kind of get to know each other. I was actually visiting with a guy that this morning at the office that his sons play travel baseball, which we're kind of getting into travel softball with our middle child. But he was talking about, talking to people that are older and that their kids have gone on to they don't play baseball anymore. And he asked them, would you trade it for anything? And they say no, because of the connection of people that it's given them. Like all the, the kids that their kids played at that have gone on to play college ball, or the families that they got connected to that they're still friends this day, where they meet up and they go out to eat together or hang out. Like just this week, Jody from JB Racing and Debbie with 88 Live to Ride, they stopped at our house on the way back from Texas and spent a few days with us. So it's just that connection of, even though there's distance between us, like you're just best of friends. And, anytime you get the opportunity, you spend some time together. So that is really, really cool. So Brody, kind of moving on from that a little bit, who would you say your favorite rider is currently? And this can be cross country, this can be EDT or MX. I'm sure it's probably not going to be MX, but being your cross country or EDT guy. But who's your favorite rider? Who do you look up to and try to fashion your riding style after? You can say yourself. You can say,
I am the greatest.
I'm the greatest.
Yeah. But Brody is super, arrogant like that. Yeah.
You could say Super D. Super D claims that he's your idol.
That's right.
Super D is my idol.
All right, sweet.
I don't know why, but that's cool.
This is a great guy, for sure. I could beat him in a race, but I can't beat him at life. This guy's got life.
You could beat me in a race, honestly.
This guy's got life by the horns.
Yeah, I was actually while Brody's thinking about his favorite racer, I was actually supposed to go race with him and his brother and another Indiana guy that's pretty quick with Rylan, our buddy RJR, and Landon, who's you've heard on the podcast a couple times, Landon Williams. These five guys traveled out to Oklahoma for a race, and the Indiana guys showed up in a big way. It was a good battle, and I didn't have my stuff together, or I don't know why. Maybe I just flaked out because I was a wuss. I don't really remember, but anyways, it was fun. Probably. So hopefully we'll definitely be at some EDT races this year together, and I've got to make my way up there for some cross country too. So got to put the CRF hybrid Phoenix RJR Bullet ATM quad on the.
That was a great list. That was good. Yeah. Without even looking, that was a great call out.
Yeah. All right,
shameless plug. But we'll get back to BP here.
Yeah,
so
ahead.
BP, you're an XC guy at heart. I mean, that's where your roots are at. But you jump over into this EDT world last year. what is it that intrigued you? What drew you over to the EDT racing world?
So Rylan Johnson, he's always wanted us to race, go ride TT. And I was up in Pennsylvania with my buddy Tanner Walker, and
9-2.
Dad told me about it, and I was down and tried it, and felt really weird at first, but got to enjoy it, and I really like it.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, BP, but the bike that you got to ride, and we'll be racing, I think for sure, maybe round 1, maybe not, we'll see. But for sure, last year at the Indiana round of the Midwest Series and the Benton race, you got to ride our Builders Brawl winner, the Bullet KTM Walsh Axis build. Kaiser wheel, what we've talked about that. You can go back and listen to that episode. It was awesome. But yeah, so you've ridden hybrids for a long time, and then you ride in the woods. Now you're on a CRF in the woods. What was it like? Making that switch. You're kind of dealing with the same amount of power. Horsepower wise, torque wise, but you're on a lot lighter machine, and traction is a lot different. So what was that like, kind of making that transition?
They were about the same, to be honest. You know, I don't really ride high in a gear. Like, I'm not banging off the rev limiter or anything. I kind of lug the motor.
Yep.
And a dry slick TT race, I mean, that's what you're doing to get traction.
Absolutely.
And that's what I do in the woods. I just lug it. I'm not crazy with the throttle or anything, but
I guess
the transition wasn't bad.
I guess I shouldn't post that video of you floating the valves coming out into a field section, huh? Probably just hold on to that one then. I'm kidding.
What do you meant from the most part? I mean, every
kidding.
once in a while we're all going to hit the rev limiter, okay?
Yeah.
So,
100%.
I'm a guy who hasn't really raced XC. I mean, I've raced the 6 and 12-hour events, which are somewhat the same, but there's definitely, a difference in the EDT MX mindset. Is it's usually a sprint. Like, you have to charge as hard as you can, whereas, cross country, there's moments where you sprint and there's moments where you kind of ride more conservative. So Brody, kind of where I was getting at was comparing that, that push, like sprint that you need in the EDT world versus cross country, where there's sprinting moments, but you got to manage that because you're racing for a couple hours. So kind of describe to me the differences there that you experience from on an EDT track with a moment where the light goes green and you've got to sprint for the entirety of the race, and the XC where you've got to crank the engine and race straight for a couple hours.
Yeah, there's a big difference. In the TT side, you're going for that 15, 20 minutes wide open. I mean, it's the most intense racing that I've done. But the GNCC side of it, I'm just now getting to the point where I've learned like when to turn it on and when to kind of relax a little bit. But you got to be able to go 2 hours without really getting tired. And I'm getting to the point where that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know, like EDT racing is that zone 4 or 5, like your heart rate's just pinging. The thing with cross country guys is getting arm pump, and you'll hear supercross guys because they're just holding on so tight because it's high intensity, elevated heart rate. Whereas the cross country, like the beginning of the race is that, but usually 5-10 minutes in, you're like, okay, just breathe, calm down, and get into that pace, man. That's super cool that you're figuring that out at this early of an age, because man, that's only going to pay off as you continue to get older. That's good.
So why?
Yeah, for sure.
BP, I'm going to ask this question, even though I really want to bite my tongue on it.
Oh yeah, this is the question. I put this question in here on purpose.
Yeah, I'm going to ask it anyway, against my better judgment, even though Super D's pushing me into this corner, and he's basically got a gun to me at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, but he doesn't really. I'm lying. What is the crossover between what we just answered, cross country and EDT racing, and why is it better than MX? Why doesn't it translate better, or why does it translate better than MX to EDT?
Ooh.
That's what I
sure
thought.
It does, because the MX side is just as intense.
but there's death at every turn.
This is not true.
There's people landing on your head.
Me personally, I'm not a big jumping type of guy.
Thank you.
I don't like flying through the air.
Thank you.
But now my brother would be all for it. But
that's because he's a goober head. That's
so
fine.
all we need to do, we need to get together, and I can show you that jumping is actually not as bad. Once you've done it once, it's not near as bad as Super D posted to be.
I will coach Brody, and you can coach Bryce. I got a few videos of Bryce, and he's definitely a Cindy. He's very Cindy. And so, we'll get with Bryce here in just a few, a little bit.
I'm going to be honest here, BP. You didn't convince me. I'm still not convinced that XC translates better to the EDT than MX translates to EDT. I think they both do. I think they both do.
Just have to,
he's going to have to try it. Yeah,
you're just going to have to get on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to. We're all just going to try them both or all three. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best answer I've heard.
Here we go. How about this? I know between myself and Ryland and the Pullens, there is, I wouldn't say a fleet, but we've got some quads that are all like what Brody's running other than tires. Basically, Brody and Bryce's machines are very similar to what I'm riding and what Ryland builds. Okay, so let's get a date set up. Me and you, and Papa Bear will have to come. We'll make our way to Indiana, and we'll get you on a CRF. We'll get Brody on a CRF. We'll take Bryce's CRF, and either I'll ride it, you'll ride it, and then we'll make Bryce ride his 250, and we'll just have a big party. What do you say, Brody?
I'm down.
Yeah, Billy's writing the check, so let's go.
That sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
Now,
me and Bryce got 2 practice TRXs that we can just thrash. So and then we got the CRF.
Yeah, nice.
We got everything.
Where does MX fall? Like we got to go down the road to hit some jumps.
So there is a place. We have a place about 10 minutes on the road. It's not very they're not very big jumps. It's kind of a dirt bike track, but you don't have to have big jumps.
You don't have to have big jumps. Just a track to go around.
There's a place like an hour and a half that just got built. It's called Timber Ridge Motorsports Park, I think.
Okay.
And they're actually opening this Sunday.
Ooh.
But it looks pretty nice.
Okay. I'm liking what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we get before we let you go here, BP, is there anybody you'd like to thank or anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I got a list of people I'd like to thank.
Let's hit them.
Mom and Dad, first off. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this without them. RJR and Ryland Johnson and Landon Williams. I mean, they've been great help, great motivation.
Boo. And
boo
to both of those guys. They're the worst.
Boo to you.
No, I'm kidding.
I love both those guys.
I did too. Had dinner with Landon Tuesday night. They're all good buddies.
Great guys.
Yep, go ahead.
Great guys. Walsh, Custom Access, Kaiser Wheels, Baldwin Motors, Elite Graphics, Kendo Tires, Streamline Brakes, Race Tech Titanium. I'm probably forgetting some people, but yeah, those are the main guys. Oh, 9.2.
I was about to say, what kind of goggles you running, man?
Yeah, well, you said Tanner Walker already. So the 9.2. Yeah, that's what I rep on the goggles, man. I love those things.
Yeah.
Man, what a good crew of people you have behind you for sure. So I'm hearing we're going to see you on the Bullet machine, so probably rocking the number 2 in the Midwest EDT. Are we changing the number?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I'm not sure right now.
To be determined.
Yep.
Okay.
It's open-ended. It'll either be a Bullet KTM or a Bullet CRF. I don't know.
One thing it's going to rock. With the RJR on there and the group of guys that you have behind it. Mm-hmm. We know it's going to be good. BP, I'm really looking forward to getting out there and getting to actually meet you face to face and seeing you on the EDT track, man.
Yeah, it's a
Looking
couple
forward
weeks
to
away.
it.
So obviously this has come out, and all of our EDT guys are aware of it. But there was supposed to be a race Saturday, and it got rained out. Paducah is basically a pond, and so we will they rescheduled it for here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, man.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to that one either.
Oh boy.
There's actually a GNCC that weekend, and the day of the race is my birthday, so I'll be able to race it.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
All right, we'll let you slide.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see you in Tennessee.
Oh, I'll be at Tennessee for sure.
All right.
Well, that's where I'll be.
We will too. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Well, all right. Well,
yeah.
that is the number 427 of Brody Pullen. We're going to catch a break real quick here and get the other Pullen on here. So, hey, listeners, y'all stay with us, and we'll be right back. All right, on the line, we've got the better half of the Pullen brothers. This is Bryce Pullen. How you doing today, Bryce?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. So we just spoke with, and it sounds like we just spoke with, Brody like a few minutes ago, but we're actually doing a before and after. So you guys are kind of grew up in the XC world, and so we talked to Brody BP on Friday, and this is actually Monday morning that we're getting to visit with you. So yeah, tell us about first trip out there to Old Gray and how it went for you. Just give us a quick rundown of your morning.
It was a pretty good weekend. We left Thursday, went to everybody's house, did some testing, left Friday morning to get to the race. Got there, Ryland fell to the shocks, did a little bit of tuning in the trailer, then went to the line Friday morning, got a pretty decent start, was running third. Then we came up to a bottleneck and tried to go around it and got stuck, and I was pretty far behind, and I passed second and third back, and I just didn't have enough to catch first. But it was a pretty good weekend, but yeah, it was a pretty good weekend.
Yeah. So second in your class, and for our listeners, we're mainly EDT guys. So what class do you run?
I think it's called 250 All Star now. It's third row in AM.
Okay, so in the AM races for everyone that's listening, for all of our GNCC guys, the 4x4 pros take off first. Is that correct? And then the women's, or is it women's then 4x4 pros?
4x4 pro takes off first.
4x4 pro takes off first. That's Cody Collier. Is it Landon Wolf? All those guys.
Yeah, Brandon Frazier,
all those guys. They'll take off first, and then the next row is the women's pro class. And there is some other, I think there's a women's B and maybe a CD class as well. But women's A pro, they take off next, and so you're right behind them. So third row to take off, and so if you think about it, do you know what I know but what did you finish overall on the morning?
I think it was 10th.
See,
I got stuck. I think I got stuck 2 or 3 times a lap, except for the last lap. So
yeah,
definitely wasn't my best overall, but
yeah, that's still pretty awesome because there's definitely more than 9 four-wheelers ahead of you, when you start the race. You think about all those 4x4 pros lined up there, and then there's a whole row of the women's class. So, man, definitely nothing to hang your head about for sure, but you're one of those guys that's always striving to do more. So, man, it sounds like all things considered, we even shared some pictures of the new machine. Now, is this a revamped machine you had, or was this a new build from the ground up?
No, new build from the ground up.
Gotcha. And so
we finished it Wednesday before we left. So.
That's right. That's how we do it. Yeah. And you were talking about, and at the end, we definitely want to give a shout out to all your sponsors. But let's back up a little bit. And so Brody kind of filled us in a little bit. Y'all are in Morgantown, Indiana, and grew up. XC guys. You and him got some. Was it LTR 80s? Is that right? Is that kind of what got us started racing? Yeah. But one of the questions that we asked, and Brody got half of it, but you guys are homeschooled, and so, man, y'all are just outdoorsmen. You love to get after and whatnot. But tell us about your family. Like who are the Pullens?
So mom's stay-at-home mom, just watches the little kids and us. And Dad owns his own business, and me and Brody pretty much just ride and work on quads all day. So
Yeah, and so for our listeners, man, this is Billy and Tony Pullen, Tony's mom. Billy's the dad, and you have two younger siblings, and everyone has a name that starts with a B. So there's Brody and Bryce, and then who's next in line?
Brindley and then Briggs.
Brindley and Briggs. Brindley's the only girl of the group besides Mom Tony, and then just a slew of boys. Yep. So last season, me and my two kiddos, we had the opportunity to cruise over to the Benton race down there in Missouri, or I guess it'd be down there for you, up there for me. And all day, like Brody or Brindley and Briggs, they're kind of playing by themselves, and then my two were playing by themselves. And by the end of the night on Saturday, there was this little bitty tree. They had built a dadgum fort around this thing, and there's duct tape in the tree. There's plastic and awesome. So yeah, my two kids definitely, I mean, they think you and Brody are pretty cool, but they definitely like Brindley and Briggs a lot. So yeah, that's one thing that's cool. Mitch and I always talk about, the family aspect of the sport, but it's just cool that, we park our rigs side by side and the kids hang out and nobody gets worked up or bent out of shape. It's like, oh, they're over at the Pullen's rig, or they're over at, Jeff's rig. And that is one thing that is awesome. Okay. So a couple of the questions that we kind of pitched to Brody and got his side of it. So we know how you got started in the sport. But what is one thing that you just love about ATV racing? Not just specifically cross country or EDT, but what is it that just motivates you? What keeps you coming back for more?
Honestly, every time I throw the leg over the quad, I just get excited. So that's pretty much it. I just fun.
Something different. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. As right now, so you hadn't been in the EDT world long, but who's kind of your favorite rider right now, or who do you look up to? Who do you try to kind of mimic your riding style after? Who's your go-to guy right now besides me? For Brody, it was me. Other than me,
I really like probably Ronnie Rush or Stephen Harrell or one of them guys.
Gotcha. Yeah. So up and coming guy, was it Steve Wyatt just got a podium a couple weeks ago. Wasn't Steve?
Yeah.
Steve Harrell. Yeah.
It was Wyatt.
So are those guys, do they live close to you? I mean, or did they race your local series as well?
No, not really, but I've rode with Steven and Ronnie quite a bit. So.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So yeah, they're a little bit older than you, a little further down the road. So it's I guess it's kind of like the carrot in front of the donkey. It gives you a little bit of motivation to reach out there. Like, hey man, like I've rode with those guys. They're not that much further down the road from me. Like I could be one of those guys before too much longer, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So again, your GNCC guy, your XC guy, that's kind of your roots, but you're getting into the EDT world now. We saw you out at Indiana coming and shaking it up you've got a 150 that you were riding, and then in the woods you've got a 250, and then for local stuff you've got a CRF 450. So man, you've got a wide range of machines. But stepping into the EDT world, like what kind of pulled, for you, what kind of drew you into that, and what are you looking forward to about jumping into the season here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's just something to get better for woods,
And it's so crazy because, Mitch and I have this argument all the time. But for me, I grew up flat track racing, and I was a big rear brake heavy when I rode. And then probably early high school days, we got into just dabbling in some cross country, just some off season stuff. I mean, we were running factory wheels, with some razors on it. Nothing really, factory suspension, just kind of getting our feet wet, just something to, instead of sitting on the couch, just getting in the woods. And then the more we started doing it, when we would jump back into, flat track racing, I got to noticing like, oh, hey, this quad has front brakes now, and Dad and I joke about it, and Mitch gives me a hard time too, because you could have taken the front brakes off, unless there was like a pile up or something. I rarely ever used them, granted I wasn't, I was a okay amateur. I mean, I'm nothing that everybody's like, oh man, you got to look at this guy. I was no Mitch Reynolds, let's put it that way. But that's one thing about riding in the woods is it kind of helps you learn some different technique. And even Brody was talking about, just being able to stay focused and stay mentally tough, because in the woods, your heart rate's not spiking. There's a couple times when you smack a tree and your heart's about to beat out of your chest, but I mean, you're kind of that zone 2, zone 3 heart rate area. And then like for a flat track, I mean, you're tapped out the whole time, and so it's definitely a thing. I think, a lot of the EDT world has realized, hey, whether I can, I'm going to throw Mitch a bone here, whether it is riding some motocross in the off season or getting into the woods, something just to help, kind of, work on that crossover and a little fitness, it's always better. So now that you've done, at the end of the season there, it was kind of a couple weeks pretty close together. You were able to hit that race in Indiana, then y'all came down to Missouri, and then I know we jumped into a few more cross countries after that. What is like one specific thing that you can, kind of help me, build my case for why cross country is going to make you a better EDT racer? What's one thing you noticed after those races that was like a significant gain for you?
Just the different type of racing, I just think it's going to help me, but
I think so too, man. I think it's going to be good. Well, one other thing, man, before we get out of here, what are our goals for this year? So, gonna be trying to hit as many GNCCs as we can, I assume. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think we might run all of them after this one. I don't know if we're gonna run snowshoe, but pretty sure most of them after this one. So
yeah. So you've raced snowshoe before, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Is it absolutely just the worst? Because while you're thinking here, I told Mitch, I said, if the choices were, hey man, you can go race snowshoe or like have to survive in the desert for a month, I'd go to the desert, no problem. Like it just looks brutal up there on the mountain.
Yeah, I've never raced the AM or PM track. I've just raced the youth, but the youth track isn't bad.
Oh,
but Brady said the AM track's terrible.
Oh man, it just looks just sloppy and nasty. I mean, now the venue, when you're not racing, looks like it would be super cool to go and see. But as far as the track and Howard's Hole getting rowdy and stuff, like I'll pass. No, I want to go watch one time. So if y'all do decide to go, let me know and I'll pit stop for you. Okay. All right. So outside of the GNCC series, what are our other plans for this year?
I think we're going to run most of the TT stuff we can.
Mm-hmm.
Hit up most of the local series we can, and just do as much races as we can.
Just race it up, and that's one thing that's cool because I guess it was right after Christmas, maybe, Bryce. But I was up at Ryland's shop, RJR. I was up there working on some stuff with my man Kevin Allen, and you and Brody and. Who else came with? There was someone else, who else came with you?
Avery Collins.
Avery Collins. Yes, yeah. And so y'all showed up, and y'all got there. I guess Billy got there a little bit before you guys, but y'all had been.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, y'all had been down in Florida, and I was like, "Oh, are y'all training?" And you were like, "Nope." And I'm like, "So what were you doing?" And so y'all were seeing family, right? Just visiting. Is that right?
So we went down for Florida for a month. Just to get out of Indiana, and then we're supposed to come back down and bring quads, but we never ended up going back down.
That's right. And so y'all are telling me this, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm kind of scratching my head, and I'm like, so you just took a month off of school? Like you just went, and y'all are like, no, you idiot, we're homeschooled. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So you can go to school wherever you want.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so just, speak to that a little bit. So have y'all been, because forgive me, Bryce, I don't know, so just kind of hold my hand here. But, I mean, have y'all been homeschooled, from kindergarten on? I mean, are you part of a co-op? Is it on track? Like, kind of walk me through that, because I am super interested in this.
No, I started when I was in 6th grade,
Mm-hmm.
And the program's kind of just, you could just do school whenever you want, and you just got to get it done by a certain time.
I got you. Yeah. I had some college classes that were like that, and I was like, dude, this is sick. This is awesome. So been in it since 6th grade, and then, I mean, is it one of those things that you can graduate early, or are you pretty much on track, on pace? No, I'll be, 17, 18 like every other student, and I'll graduate here in, 3 or 4 years, I guess.
Yeah, you can pretty much graduate whenever you want, but I usually just get all my schoolwork done in like the last couple months, so.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, man. That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, anything else? Hey, before we get out of here, who do you want to shout out, man? Who's someone that's helped you out this season? Oh, hang on. Before we get to that, the number 708. Why the number 708?
That's my birthday.
That's my birthday. Okay. Are you familiar with the Bumblebee Harold Goodman?
Yep.
Okay, because that's what Mitch and I earlier, we were like, oh, we got the B coming on, the 708. And I'm like, Bryce Pullen. He's like, oh, okay. Well, if we could get Harold, that'd be cool too. So that's awesome, man. So, all right, who do you want to give a big shout out to, Bryce? Who do we need to thank? Who's making this racing thing possible for you?
My mom, my dad, Rylan Johnson, Tanner Walker, 92, Kenda Tires, Walsh, Kaiser Wheels, and Dryer South. I think that might be it.
What about what's Dad's business? It's Heartland. Is it Diesel Performance?
Yeah, Diesel and Auto.
Diesel and Auto. Yeah. Oh, by the way, and so I know, of course, I recently had to get me a new vehicle, and so your dad's checking that out when we were together here a couple months ago, and he's like, hey man, you need to get that thing up to the shop, we'll get that sucker deleted. And I'm like, no Billy, I'm gonna drive this thing till warranty runs out, and then I'm gonna go trade it in on another one. He's like, nah man, we gotta get that thing deleted, we'll put you a bigger tank in the bed. And I'm like, no. So I know they work on pickups and stuff, but do they do like big trucks? And I mean, they do it all there at Heartland?
Yeah, I think they do decently big trucks and cars and stuff like that.
I got you. All right. Well, man, I appreciate it, Bryce. I appreciate your time. And always, I did get a text here from BP, and he's like, dude, we got to give all the love in the world to our man, Kevin Allen Cleveland. I said, of course. Yeah, we always got to give it up for Kevin Allen. So that'll be cool. Do you know what class you're going to be running in EDT? We thought about that?
I don't really know. I think I might be running A class, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I was going to suggest. But all right, man. Well, hey, thank you for the time. And we will see you at an EDT race here soon if I don't jump up and hit one of the IXCRs or something. But yeah, thanks again for your time today, Bryce.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Hey, we're going to catch a break here real quick, and we'll be right back. All right, man, that was Bryce Pullen. Good to hear from him and his brother. Kind of cool. We've never done that, Mitch, where we interview a guy, one brother before the race and one brother after the race. But that's pretty cool, man.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, to get to know, two different dudes at kind of two different settings. So you just get different perspectives there,
And it's funny because I love just the older I get. And, of course, with my role, I have a lot of siblings that come through. And it's always funny because in a sibling matchup, there's always one sibling that's, kind of more controlled, more reserved, still a blast. And that's kind of Brody. He's a thinker. He likes to process. he can send it, man. I mean, he got on the overall podium from the A class in one of their local GNCs. So Brody can go. He knows what he's doing. But Bryce is just throw caution into the wind, send it. I don't know what's on the other side of this jump. Hit it wide open, and I'm like, I used to be like that, and then I got responsibilities. But no, thank you again to those guys jumping on. And for all of our EDT listeners, if you want to meet them, I guess you can. They'll be at in Tennessee at that race. That's what Brody said. They may end up having to miss the first round there in Paducah, but they'll be in Tennessee, as will we.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be doing our Builders Brawl, and hopefully in the next episode we'll be able to announce where and when we'll be doing what. So
where, when, and what.
Yeah,
Builders Brawl is going to go down there.
It is.
Looking forward to it.
And we've got some new guys coming in. Of course, we've got the defended champs, the bullet guys of RJR and ATM. You know, they've got to have a chance to come back,
defend the title.
Yep. And so we've got them coming back, and we've got a few others that we'll announce as it gets a little closer. But it's going to be good. But hey, man, before we wrap up this episode, I was just as we were talking. I got out my phone and I looked at the verse of the day. And so that's what, if you've got a smartphone, man, get the Bible app.
That's right. YouVersion Bible app.
YouVersion Bible app. It's free. It doesn't cost a thing. It will text you this verse of the day. There's tons of awesome Bible studies you can do on there. You can do a 3-day one, a 4-day one. You can do Bible in a year. I mean, there's so many cool options to do in there. But I opened it up, and the verse of the day was 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. And it says, "So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God."
That's right.
And so as we kind of wrap that up, man, that it's just funny that I looked at that today as we're recording this Friday. Yesterday, Mitch, I get the opportunity from time to time to speak at our local school district here. So I get invited to come speak to the middle school students, to the junior high students, to the high school. And that was the passage I used yesterday as I was speaking. You know, I mean, prom is coming up, and as a high school student, man, prom, it's a big deal, man. You got to get dressed up, it's a whole rigmarole.
Yep.
And so I was just wanting to encourage the students, like, hey, man, no matter what you have going on, whether it's today or this weekend or throughout your life, man, everything you do, like, do it for the glory of God, you know. And that's one of the things, that's what we're about here on Remain in the Race. So we love racing, we love EDT racing, we love cross-country racing a lot. We're on the fence about motocross racing, or at least one of us is.
Well, yeah, don't loop us into we.
Yeah.
We're nobody's even on the fence here.
One is
my
pro,
feet are firmly planted.
And that's good. I know where you stand. That's good. You're not a waffler.
No, I'm not wavering.
Yeah, but I just thought that was, you know, just God works in things, and there's little things that happen throughout the day that just kind of put a smile on your face. And I thought, how cool is that the passage I spoke on is the verse of the day today, and that's what we're about. That's what Remain in the Race is about.
Well, you think of the context of it, Paul addressing people that having issues with what is proper to eat, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the implication or the application is the same.
Yeah.
Like wherever he's placed you, whatever personality he has given you, like use it for his glory.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that your strengths are, you can be using that to spread God's love and using that to build other people up. I mean, there's so much to unpack right there, but it's like you've got to have the right perspective. Like wherever God's placed you, you're placed there on purpose, for a purpose, kind of, you know, abbreviating what you typically say.
Yep.
But, you know, you have to have that right perspective of what I'm ultimately doing this for is because God has placed me here and he has a purpose for me to accomplish. And dude, Paul, I mean, you know, just the more that you dissect the guy of Paul and what all he did, it's like, wow, what an amazing thing. It's like no matter where he was at, if he was in prison, I'm going to do it for the glory of God. If I'm with my friends and planting churches, it's for the glory of God. And that is, it's hard to wrap your head around. I see it in your eyes.
I'm thinking
about it, like,
the number of New Testament books that Paul is accredited for writing. Now, whether he did or didn't, but he's given the tip of the hat, like, hey, Paul wrote this.
Yep.
Like, he was in jail. Literally, like, I think it's Philippians. It's like, I'm literally chained to the wall, you know, in here, you know, telling other people about Jesus. And I'm like, okay, maybe my day where I almost ran out of gas. Fun fact, on our ski trip I just took our students on, literally almost ran the van out of gas.
Like a responsible adult you are. Yeah.
You can run a Ford Transit T350 4.5 miles, even though the dash says 0 miles till empty. Fun fact.
Yeah, 4.5.
Tested it. And then at 4.5, 4.51, you're going to need to bump that sucker into neutral and coast to the gas station.
So hopefully you hit a little hill and come on the other side.
Yeah, hit all the lights green and just right on into the gas pump. Yeah, it was a great time.
Hey, if you keep going a few verses down, though, down
Hit me
there to
with it.
verse 33, it says,
Let's go.
I too, so Paul, you're
Yes.
assuming Paul here,
Yep.
I too try to please everyone in everything I do. I don't just do what is best for me. I do what is best for others so that many may be saved. And so you think about that. I mean, ultimately we're brought into this world thinking about me. And you are pretty cool. You're a cool guy.
Thank you.
But, the challenge throughout scriptures is to serve and to do for others, to put others
absolutely.
above yourself. So really taking that and trying to apply that whatever you do it for the glory of God, because even though your moment or your situation might not be pleasant or great, like Paul's chained up in a prison is not pleasant. It's not where I want to be, right?
Nope.
But he said, this might be what's best for others. They can see that in my testimony here, that even though I'm in a sucky situation, that I'm not wavering.
No.
That I've met the Messiah, that I know him, and I want others to know him as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately, if you can keep that perspective of even when life's not that great, but I mean, you don't have to just look at the negative. Even when life's great, like you're there for a purpose and it's beyond yourself.
Yeah.
So that what you do, the actions that follow, whatever experience that you're having is a testimony in it of itself.
Yep.
And do you want to be pointing it to Christ to make a difference for others, or do you want to just be pointing it to self and glorifying yourself?
I
know
it,
where
man.
I want it pointed, baby.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. And I have nothing to add to that. That's perfect. I mean, that's exactly the direction I was wanting to go. That's perfect, man.
Great.
I love it, man. Well, dude, this has been a fun one. It's cool to visit with young guys in the sport that are up and coming, and I think the Pullen brothers are going to have a great season in the woods and on the EDT track.
Yeah,
think
it'll be cool to see what they can do and what it translates to.
Yeah,
but really cool to see some guys getting back into that. Not just solely locked in on one thing.
Right.
But having a blend, because no matter what, you and we're going to sit here and debate cross country, EDT, motocross racing is racing, baby.
Yeah,
and both of those sports help each other, and man, it's cool to see people do both.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Like seat times,
or have the opportunity to do both. You know?
That's more cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool.
More cool.
I like it. More cooler. Is that where you're going?
I don't know. It's getting weird. We can't talk. So that, you know what that means?
It's time to cash this thing out, baby.
It is time to cash this thing in. Hey, you want to pray us out of here, my man?
Father God, just thank you for everything you've done for us, God. We thank you that you made us on purpose for a purpose, God. I pray each day that we maintain that perspective that God, it's about others. That you tell us to put others above ourselves. Just use us each as a tool to bring honor and glory to yourself, God. And I thank you for everything that you blessed us with. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, one other thing you was talking about, and I definitely wasn't thinking about this during your prayer, beautiful prayer, but how
it's okay if you were.
how mental,
because you can be saying side prayers.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, but just how mentally strong you have to be to do both of these sports. So it'll be cool to visit with. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, hey,
it'll be. What he's saying is the future interviews that we have, and people who race both MX and cross country and EDT. Maybe we get a trifecta of people that do all three and can really give us a perspective on what it is all about. But in the meantime, we might just test that out ourselves.
I like it.
We need to make that a goal this year to make it happen.
Yeah, I know what it was. My nephew Tyson raced across country, and he's done a little flat track, but he said, I just didn't know how mentally strong you had to be.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
I think in all this sport, I'm sorry, I got to keep going.
That's fine.
As you
keep
think
going.
about the mentality and the mindset, I mean, this sport, you have to make, with your adrenaline pumping, your heart rate racing, you have to make decisions in a split second. So having the right mindset going into it is huge. I mean, it's a huge part of this sport that you can't neglect. You have to train your mind to make those split-second decisions, one, for your safety, but two, for the proper performance in the event, for sure.
I agree.
It's next-level stuff right there.
Next level stuff. And you know what? We're going to talk about it some more in episode 48, which will be coming your way here in a couple weeks. But thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, as always, 88 Live to Ride, B&B Motorsports, RJR, ATM, Phoenix Handlebars, 110% Nutrition, SOFAbrand MX. Thank you to those guys. Thank you to all your listeners. And we will catch you in the next one. Thanks for listening.